Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it. Houston, welcome to another episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. My name is Ruiz Segura. I am your host for tonight, the only guy here today, to be completely honest. Everybody is on vacation, and they didn't take me with them. What's wrong with them, huh? I fit in that in the luggage, usually oversized. Dog kennels, whatever you want to put me in that gets me into a plane and into paradise, I'll take it. But hey, I hope that, no, I don't hope. I know we'll have a great night here tonight talking about our favorite Houston soccer team, MLS related at this point, since we probably won't touch much on the Houston Dash. That's another podcast for you, and I recommend you give it a follow. I guess a shout out to that last week to that. The last week being at Shell Energy Stadium was really awesome. We are very grateful for the opportunity they give us to set up our little shop and stream from the stadium. It's super, super awesome of an opportunity, and we hope to do many of those. But yeah, check out Orange and Blueprints podcast. Manny and Diego do a pretty good job informing the people. I know they feel they probably give them a little bit too much of a stick, but it's like anything. It's getting there, and I think they do a really good job, to be honest. And really grateful for the opportunity. I know Manny wasn't able to make it on Tuesday for that dash against Rayadas de Monterrey international friendly, which actually was pretty fun. I believe Diego and myself were thinking maybe a draw, like a high-scoring draw. And it was a high-scoring game, but all the goals were for the Houston Dash, so that's absolutely wonderful to see for sure. But yeah, again, thank you guys for joining us. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. I know when it comes to result, it wasn't necessarily the best for the Houston Dynamo. Houston Dynamo, too, did play and get a big and much needed win. But thank you guys for joining us. And I guess I'll do a little bit of housekeeping here before we get started. And I would love to thank every single one of you guys joining us as we live stream. You guys are always in our comment section. So I know maybe you guys don't love the name, but feel free to drop any comment, in the Bayou banter. Keep it rolling. I know we tend to have some usual suspects, but man, if you are a first-time listener of the show, I apologize. It's just me. We'll have as much fun as we can. It's always great to interact with people. So feel free. If you have any comments, any questions, throw them in here, and we'll try to get you, I guess, the right answer, maybe, for you guys to enjoy. But Edson, I see that you put us some kind of logo or some kind of emoji. I can't see it, so I just see a little square. But man, yeah, absolutely, man. Fantastic time we are going to have here. We do have a stacked show, and really the reason why I'm alone, because a lot of people were out and about. We got Joey completely. I think he's in Colorado. Christian is busy. Dustin is busy with vacation and their kids. And we really can't prolong it. We have to kind of stick to the schedule this week just because there's just so much going on. Obviously, we have to talk about what happened this weekend. Wednesday, so a couple nights from now, there'll be a game at Shell Energy Stadium between Vancouver and Dynamo. Thursday, there's a game in SaberCat Stadium when Dynamo 2 take on the Vancouver Whitecaps 2. And then Saturday, Philadelphia Union will come to visit. So Jack McGlynn's former team will be here. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun because obviously that there's a little bit of story behind that. And it's actually it's been a minute. And we'll go through it since Philly has come, or just Philly has played against the Dynamo. And last time wasn't all that great. And we'll hit that as well. And so there's games all over, and then obviously with the regular season, then the Leagues Cup and so forth and so forth. But um, before I get too ahead of myself, let me go ahead and thank our awesome sponsors. Obviously, you guys see me repping this shirts, this hats, all thanks to our friends at Ugly Guppy. If you have not checked out Ugly Guppy, they have everything you may need, whether it be shirts, hats, pencils, anything with your logo, with your company logo, or just, you have a T-ball team or you have a company volleyball team, whatever you want to do, they'll hook you up. So you are noticeable, you are recognized anywhere you go, and people ask you, hey, where do you get that shirt? And so their logos are pretty dope. It's ugly fish, right? Ugly guppy. So yeah, thanks to them for always keeping us looking good, looking fresh as we cover the Houston soccer scene, as we obviously showed up for the Gold Cup as well in bunches and pretty much every game at Shell Energy Stadium, and we got the Gold Cup final, so people got to see us repping our ugly guppy gear. Next, big thank you to Elotes Bravos. Obviously, they sponsor one of our segment here known as Elotes Bravos Fan Feud. I was talking to them the other day. And I'm like, man, we want to do it on a monthly basis. And it's going to be about a month since the last time we did it. But I was like, man, it's just so much soccer and there's just so much little time that we have. We try not to make these episodes too long. If you're like me, short attention spasm is a thing. So we try to keep it under an hour, and sometimes they can run pretty long, but we encourage you to be a part of that. Especially if you're looking, for giveaways. We have plenty of things to give away for you guys from faithful people from our community here at Bayou City Soccer that keep, sending us stuff for us to give away. So yeah, we do that for you guys. And with that, we do have a giveaway out there currently in our social media, specifically X, Twitter. If you go in there, you have an opportunity to win a pair of tickets for Wednesday night's game, and there'll be another one that will probably drop by this point Thursday. And this one's gonna be a little nicer. We'll add a couple more things, maybe a bobblehead and maybe a T-shirt and stuff like that. Kind of make it a bigger prize, and obviously tickets for the game on Saturday day against Philadelphia Union, because it is going to be a party. Uh, who's going to be there? Mike Jones is going to be there, and I was talking to the guys. I don't know, this guy was still kicking it, but clearly he is, and we're looking forward to seeing that whole shebang that the Houston Dynamo are planning to do around the 7-1-3 nights, obviously including Wednesday and Saturday there. So yeah, check them out. And lastly, We Got Soccer, the newest and best soccer shop here in Houston. You guys know that there's a location out in Tomball area and one in West Chase, which we were there. It's really nice. I mean, both of them are really nice, but we were able to do a live stream from the one in West Chase, and we are still planning. Again, there's a lot of games that makes it difficult, but next time we go out there, we want to hopefully be out there with one, possibly two, or maybe a coach from Houston Dynamo and so forth, and Houston Dash, so that you guys can, take pictures with them. I know you guys won't come for us per se. I mean, if you do, Christian will definitely charge you $5 per picture, and depends how many people are in the picture. No, I'm kidding, but yeah, no, we absolutely love to kind of continue to grow the community here in the city of Houston. But without me going any further, thank you guys. Let's see. We got all soccer guys saying the show must go on. Yes, of course it has to go on. Nest Noob says, yeah, the team plays better with Bossy. We don't want to say names, but maybe. I don't want to just completely go on a tangent and talk about Bossy and what he does and doesn't do. He doesn't do much sometimes. But that's neither here or there. But let's go get ahead and start it with the show here at Bayou City Soccer Podcast. So, of course, we have Dynamo News, and we'll hit it straight from the get-go. They did play this Saturday against Real Salt Lake. They ended up losing 1-0 of a match. It honestly could have gone any direction. Jonathan Bond made plenty of saves, and so did the Real Salt Lake as a whole. Ethan Barlow did have himself a goal line clearance as well, so we can't really take that he didn't do that. That it was just purely Bond. But yeah, at this point, there's just this two teams honestly are creating a really nice little rivalry that has come naturally and genuine from some that are kind of losing their spark a little bit, whether it be, I mean, FC Dallas is always going to be the big one, but matches against Sporting Kansas City are kind of similar to what Real Salt Lake has created in the last 3 years with the Dynamo, just with the amount of games that they've been playing. But yeah, Firehead Will says your stats dude is the only person that loves Bassi. This is true. I think the numbers and it's something that I don't know if we can necessarily ask bluntly to Ben. But the way that I see it too, just kind of going a little bit on Bassi, is the fact that they love Bassi. They see that he creates the numbers that you want those players to do, but the important ones, the one that really matters, the goals and assists are just not happening. And I think it does create frustration. And so it'd be good. I would love to know, like, hey, how much of a stats guru are you guys into that, it gets to the point that you're doing all this work, but it really doesn't lead to much. So, yeah, that's definitely a question. But here goes the starting lineup for the team. I mentioned Bond and Ethan Barlow. They did a really good job this game. Obviously, Ethan Barlow had a fantastic match against San Diego. He didn't necessarily disappoint. But at the same time, it's like, you hope that he takes a step forward. I think the one lacking is actually Pablo Ortiz. He just continued to struggle. From my perspective, it just seems that there's just some decision making that he needs to work on. And the other guy that does really good work is Franco Escobar, of course. He just continues to be one of the best players in the team and in the league at this rate. And he wins everywhere he goes. So next up would be a nice MLS Cup, of course, for the Argentine right back or left back at this point. Ponce, he was a little lost, but I think it came with the type of match that it was being created. And Ali also was very disappointing in comparison to last game. Arthur did what Arthur tends to do. He did have a very good game. Just from what we've seen in the past, sometimes I feel like the midfield of the opposition stretches the Dynamo's midfield a lot, so he just finds himself in no man's land, and that's when he struggles. Bassi, we touched a little bit on it. He did not have a bad game. I wouldn't say he had a bad game. He was one of the most active players in the attack in comparison to Anali and Ponce, but again, it just didn't necessarily lead too much. Brooklyn Reigns continues to work hard. His statistically, he's doing what he needs to do. His numbers are there, and he is pretty mistake free for the most part. And then Felipe Andrade was another guy that obviously came from Dynamo 2 and has jumped into the first team and has done a fantastic job. And I mean, it's not easy to bench Griffin Dorsey, and I would love for you guys in the chat to tell me about that where you guys, how do you guys take the fact that Dorsey has there was benched this specific game? You think it was right? I mean, obviously he came from a suspension last week, but how do you take that? How do you see that for a guy like him? And then lastly, Jack McLean makes his return after taking taking time for the Gold Cup with the U.S. national team. He, for the most part, did a good job with the U.S. Open Cup. He was always playing, whether he started the first two games, and since after that, he just started getting a few minutes. He got about 10 in the final. I feel like a little bit too late. He didn't really get to show or help the team like you would have liked. We were able to speak to him after the game, and I was joking with with David, who helps me do Movimiento Naranja. And what I mean, we waited for like an hour just to get just to get Jack for 18 seconds. And hopefully I'll give you guys a hint. We should be having a orange talk with none other than Jack McGlynn this week. So hopefully we get to ask him more questions and learn more about just that the adventure he had playing in the Gold Cup, and I believe that was his first Mexico game altogether. So, those are big rivalries, and I'm sure it was very disappointing just to be a part of it and coming short. MDK says it'd be interesting. I'll be interested. Uh, It'll be interesting to see the rotation with 3 games in a week. I completely agree. I think there's a few players that are pushing to get minutes, and from what I've seen, it looks like some injuries, minor injuries. I mean, obviously, we know the major ones like Sviatchenko that he's going to be out a little longer. Um, but some other guys may be getting tweaked at this point. All Soccer Guy says just put Escobar next to Bartlow, Andrade on the left, and Dorsey on the right. Yeah, I think at this moment, this is the best um, back four that you would have. I think that we've talked in the past how Femi plays so many games, and you were just hoping that the that he would learn and gain more experience from it, but it just seemed very flatline sometimes. Sometimes it'll be like really, really good games, and then he'll have 3, 4, 5 terrible games, do multiple mistakes. So at this point, I don't think Femi should be a part of it unless obviously, barring injury from the other guys. But I agree 1,000%. I think that playing those guys in that role at this point, this is what you go with. The MDK mentions, yeah, it's interesting with Dorsey. Yeah, again, Dorsey, either him, yeah, McGlynn has been better in the second half. Yeah, it's a pretty good game, and we'll go into the highlights. I have them here for you guys, and I'll kind of talk over them. And if you guys have a pick point on them, please feel free. You guys post it. Yeah, the game obviously 8:30 kickoff, which is kind of nice, and I have a super late game. I know it's lagging a little bit for you guys, but this right here from the get go, it's a little crazy with all this focus. The Dynamo back all the way, and then for Spawn to make the save that he did, I know that it doesn't seem like much. Yeah, it's lagging a little bit. It doesn't seem like a big save, but whenever you see it from just the regular camera angle that we just saw, you can kind of tell that it's yeah, it doesn't look that bad, but then you see it from the back, the camera on the inside the net, you see how crazy that. I mean, that was cool. It was a really fantastic from there. But RSL and Houston kept toe to toe. Uh, Luna obviously made his return as well for RSL, and personally, I thought he was going to struggle just because of the way he disappeared. In the final, he was just like no show, and he came with a proof, and he was by far their best player for RSL the entire game. And they could contain him some, but he was still making a lot of dangerous plays. Uh, it, yeah, it just didn't go his way. Actually, I think that back too. 98 was really good. I was 1992. Their left back, he was just fantastic. It's the left back, no, I'm thinking of right back. It was like, yeah, you see how this one right here takes a big deflection and still makes a very good save. We'll see if they continue to load. I'll just talk over them. But anyways, yeah, it gets to the point that you look at the stats, and the stats tell you that the Dynamo had the longer possession with 59%. You look at the XG, which to some it may mean much more than others, but it was right there. It was a pretty tight game. The amount of shots taken, shots on target. I mean, you know, Salt Lake has one more than the Dynamo, and that's basically the goal, right? So Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, as far as Sviatchenko, he's gonna be out a little longer. Um, it I don't think he re-aggravated the same injury that he had been dealing with. He just picked up a new injury, another muscle injury on his left leg that is keeping him sidelined a little longer. And at this point, with the way that Barlow has been playing, if it's me, if I'm the coach or the coaching staff, I will continue to rest Vyachenko and just kind of wait for the long haul, if that makes sense. Try to pick up as many points as you can with who you have, and then eventually bring him in when he's definitely closer to 100%. But at this point, he was at 100%, and it was just a new aggravating injury that he picked up. As far as the standout and the letdown, this one's interesting because you look at I tend to use FOTMob as a reference, and apart from like the ratings that they give you, just the amount of work that they're doing, and as well as the position on the field that they're taking. And for me, by far the standout, you look again, you look at the sheet, and you're like, oh, McGlynn had the highest number. He's by far the better player. To me, Jonathan Bond is the player of the week here for the match save for the Dynamo. If it wasn't for him, for the amount of saves that he had, that were basically point blank. He did a really good job. He had three massive saves. The three saves he had were really, really good. The goal that he received is one of those that there's nothing he could do. And Houston has scored that in the past, and it was their time to concede one similar of the ball just kind of roaming inside the box. Obviously, Agata takes a shot, and it gets deflected. It lands perfectly right to him, and with the amount of bodies in front of him, takes a shot and obviously beats everybody and gets that single goal that made the difference. So it's all in the details. And as far as letdown, I did mention earlier about Pablo Ortiz, and at this point, I feel that he has all the tools to be a very good player. Obviously, he's a younger player still. When it comes to just age in general, he's obviously a pro that's played many games under his belt. We know that he's played in smaller, I don't want to call them lower divisions by any means. Don't want to offend any of the leagues that he's kind of been a part of, but um I think ideally the partnership that they were hoping to create was an Ortiz and Sviatchenko, just because they have a little bit of history together. But just Ortiz, we've seen him play with Femi, we've seen him play with Sviatchenko, we've seen him played obviously with Barlow like this game, we've seen him play with Escobar. Like there's been multiple guys that they put next to him, and it's not about the chemistry he's building with the other players. It's just individually, I think he's just not making the right decisions. And in comparison to what we saw from maybe Femi in the beginning of the year, when he would make a mistake, it would get um, obviously taking it would be a goal basically, for the opposition. But here he tends to clean up those mistakes, but I feel like he does them way too often that it's just a matter of time before he gets punished. And you hope that's not the case. But yeah, sometimes you were looking at him and like, man, why is he giving that ball there when, there's two guys on the player that he sent it to? Or why is he not clearing it instead of trying to play short? So, or why is he playing short instead of clearing it? So it's more about the decision making. So those are the two guys of my standout and my letdown that I speak of. But yeah, before we get started, let me see. I'm going to read a couple of the comments here. I like to see Linger, Bassi, McGlynn, Ponce as the attacking four versus Vancouver. That'd be an interesting one. And then also mentioning Escobar and Ponce should have a goal each. They should have had, I think Ponce could have had two goals. Escobar should have had two. And I can't remember who also had one right in front of goal that just wasn't a goal. And sometimes that's just how the game goes, right? And it's frustrating because you could see it. I mean, it was right there. To me, this was a draw in the making. The teams are way too even. It looks like they're finding rhythm. And yeah, maybe it was Andrade MDK. And they were finding rhythm, but they just couldn't score this time, right? And last game against San Diego was like they couldn't stop scoring and late. And at this point, I was like, okay, the team is down 1-0 for a long stretch of the game, in the second half specifically. And it just never happened. Like they never had another clear opportunity. I think Salt Lake did a very good job of minimizing the type of attack that Anali tends to create. And Nolly has been a welcome addition, as we all know, to the team, just because he is fast. He is very fast, and he is not afraid to take on people. And that's the biggest thing, the biggest draw that the team needed. Apart from the speed, I think that you needed somebody that was not afraid to take on the defenders. And that's something that Anali does very well. And so I think it's a matter of time. I think, like, when it comes to the road games, for the most part, you can say, oh, they're going to lose, whichever team is playing on the road, right? Not just generally the Dynamo, but we know how the Dynamo have been very good on the road. And so it's one of those that they continue to get a lot of points. And that's why I named this episode, home turf, high stakes, because now you are coming into this next match, as the graphic shows here. Should I make, I feel like tiny head. Probably talk to myself a little too much here. But yeah, now you are coming home for a couple matches. And I'll give you exactly the matches in front of what the Dynamo, and this is purely regular season that I'm referring to. So obviously Wednesday, you have the Whitecaps coming through. Saturday you have Philly, and then next Friday you have a LA Galaxy, and this is so 3 home matches that, as the team sees fit, it's a matter of winning at this point. I think that, anything, and I wrote it here, is anything other than a win, unacceptable at home at this point. I don't know. What do you guys think, Bayou Banter? Do you think that, obviously you always want to win at home for sure. But at this point in the season, not getting a win at home, is that acceptable? And I'm talking about, like, yeah, they could get draws, but the amount of points you need, currently the Dynamo on the table are in 10th place, sitting just outside by a point from the playoff line. Austin FC, it's currently in that 9th position. So, these games matter. Real Salt Lake is right there on the heels with 25 points. So only a couple points separate, a few teams from those playoff positions. And, the Dynamo have a very good opportunity having 3 games at home. Not saying they're easy games by any means, right? Whitecaps have been one of the best teams in the league. Even with Brian White out and not really playing in the Gold Cup, their lead scorer, who came back, and we'll talk a little bit about, how they're coming, because they let me move my camera real fast. There you go. No, wrong. There you go. Yeah, so obviously their last game, they lost against Colorado 3-0 in Colorado. And Brian White did play. I think he played almost the whole game. And again, not much to show for a guy that he looked hungry. He didn't really get any minutes in the Gold Cup, if any. And there's a guy trying to prove a point. They're trying to make they're trying to make a mark. They have Vancouver all the way up in 3rd place. They've had been sitting in 1st place for quite some time before taking a couple losses, and San Diego moving forward. But it's pretty incredible. And obviously, like, you're looking at here the sheet, and I'll describe it for the guys listening on the podcast. And thank you as well for listening on the podcast. Obviously, usually the next day, not live, but just a shout out here that, wherever you listen to, if you hit that follow button, they will automatically pop up and give you a notification. And if you send us a review, even better. So I'm an Apple podcaster. That's who are you? Well, Apple podcast listener, I would say, be the correct term. But if you listen to Spotify as well, man, we really, really appreciate it. all those likes and sharing and everything that you guys do. But yeah, so Vancouver did play midweek, so last Wednesday for their Canadian championship, and they where they were victorious, and then before that they actually lost to Galaxy 3-0. Or sorry, yeah, they lost to Galaxy 3-0 in LA. And funny enough, I think I spoke about it in the Spanish podcast, is the fact that Vancouver obviously, gets blown out by Galaxy, who are still in last place in the Western Conference and are hoping to make some kind of run that it's going to be very, very difficult at this point as the reigning champions and make it into the playoffs. Not impossible by any means, not impossible. But being a 4th of July game, Vancouver, I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Vancouver players were, after the game, they tend to do sprints, and they would used to do it way more often, I feel like, at Shell, but I hardly see them maybe because it's so hot. And they were doing sprints out there as the fireworks were going to go off. And so they never did. I think they delayed that whole thing like 20-30 minutes. And every time it looked like they were about to walk out, and that was not the case. They were just, there, and people were booing them, and they're just like, Canadians giving them a little bit of a stick just because it wasn't their 4th of July. So it's pretty funny. Yeah. Vancouver are in the middle of a 5-match in 2.5 weeks. Yeah, so it's a lot. It's a lot of games. It's a lot of games for them. And so this is my thing too. We've talked about it at the Montreal game, when Dynamo went down in what seemed, well, I mean, obviously it was a terrible loss to Montreal, as Montreal was the dead last in the Eastern Conference. But to me, when it comes to teams that come from the north, and in this case Canada, I mean, you can't get any further away from Houston. You have to take advantage of that. This is the times that you have to use the weather in your favor. I feel like, people say, well, they're professionals, they're this and that, but at the end of the day, this is your home territory. You practice in this weather. Whether you play at 7:30 and practice at 7:30 p.m., yeah, that's true. They don't. They should practice early to try to beat the heat. But at the end of the day, you can't allow a team that doesn't play in these circumstances and not beat them and not use that in your favor. Sometimes teams that come from the north side of the league, they come to Shell Energy Stadium and they look like they're the home team, right? And I mean, obviously, you see it anywhere else in the world. I mean, Bolivia tends to beat down on Argentina or Brazil when they go and play in their high altitude. Well, I mean, obviously, I think the highest field in the world, but still, they're using it in their favor. And if you can't do that, it's unacceptable. I think you have to. You see this game, it is a Wednesday game. You guys mentioned about rotation, and I totally agree. There needs to be rotation, but at the end of the day, you have to win this game. This game more than like the Philly game. And even then, Philly obviously also from the Northeast as well, and Vancouver from the Northwest. But you just have to take advantage of that drastic weather change and the climate that you have here in Houston in comparison to those teams coming from cities that do not experience that. I think, let's look it up actually. Now I'm curious. Weather in Vancouver. Anybody out there looking? I'm gonna say it's like 70. Yep, I got it right. 71 degrees right now, and that's the hottest. Basically, it goes 82 is the hottest in Vancouver. Like, humidity is still high, but it's not 95-degree weather that we have here in Houston. So I don't know. Maybe that's just me as somebody that grew up in Houston, played his whole youth soccer childhood all the way to like college years, playing here in Houston in the crazy weather, and just got used to it. And obviously the teams that are not used to it, then you have to take full advantage of it. But honestly, that's the rant for today. But the starting lineup that the Whitecaps used, as I mentioned earlier, obviously Brian White made his return. Very quiet of a night for him. I believe he did played like 80 something minutes, even though this graphic here doesn't show it. But yeah, the best Bite, I believe MDK, you mentioned him. Yeah, Bite is probably one of their better players. Not like by name, I would say, because together they're just fantastic. They're one of the best teams in the way that they play with so much unison. But um, that's why they're a top team. Uh, so yeah, the goalkeeper has been doing fantastic. Tao fantastic. Laborda, Judvik, Blackman is one of my favorites. I've been following since his LAFC years, and when he moved to Whitecaps, I was hoping he'd be one that the Dynamo would somehow snatch away from LAFC, but that didn't happen. Johnson's been pretty good. Um, obviously, we completely forgot about Berhalter. He had a really good Gold Cup, and same thing. I mean, it's another guy that's giving this Whitecaps a completely new lift with their new coach and all that that is happening in Vancouver as they are changing the tide. It seems like, and I do want to point out that I've heard some people compare that team to what the Dynamo and Ben Olsen are currently going to, of how Benny Santini was a motivational guy, which not even close to like what you see out of Ben Olsen, right? In the sense of like the way that you've probably seen the videos of Benny, singing, dancing, the way that he had some fantastic conversations and when it came to the media, and you guys probably remember the game against Portland, and he didn't believe in God, trying to call out Phil Neville. I mean, all this fantastic stuff that Santini was doing, but people mention how the fact that it seems that way with Ben and how they've hit a cap, and I don't see it that way. I still think that they're building something much bigger in Houston that can be stable for longer, and it looks like they're doing the right, bringing in the right pieces after the key components from years past have left and and are gone. But it's gonna take some time. It's gonna gel. It's gonna take some time. But let me see. Yeah, I agree. A lot of the Houston players are used to the weather, and teams from colder places could struggle. We use the weather advantage to help beat. Yeah, exactly. You have to, and I think like when it comes to it, and man, you guys probably remember if you guys have been following the Dynamo for so long. I mean, at one point they used to have like 12 o'clock games and 3 p.m. games and 5 o'clock games. Those were absolutely awful, and you could see why they were able to get that 36, 30, whatever, 32, 36 game unbeaten streak in Houston. I mean, it was just unbearable. Nobody wanted to come visit Houston and play in the crazy sun, right? And whether they don't really, I mean, they don't do that anymore, right? They don't play at for whatever rule changes, or FIFA has been talking about it as well with this whole Club World Cup, how the time that they're going to allow the games to happen for the World Cup next year. And Houston tends to play at 7:30, the earliest, I believe, and it's still warm enough. You can still take advantage of uh, the that weather change for the people that are not used to it. But here we are. Christian Putalias, miss you. We miss you too, man. Have fun in Hawaii or wherever you are. Um, yeah, so we'll go into. Oh, I guess before I go into the Philly game, prediction for Wednesday. I believe that with everything I've talked about, obviously, the Colorado just beat Vancouver Whitecaps, and at this point, there's just so much inconsistency, which there tends to be in MLS in general. Anybody could beat anybody. But I do think that Houston's going to scratch a win. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be the prettiest win just because of how good Vancouver can be and are. But if they're able to suffocate, purely the word that I was looking for there, if they're able to suffocate Vancouver, try to keep possession, but maybe what they need to try to do is let Vancouver have the ball as well. And if you're gonna play with with a fast guy like a Nolly and explode the width, then at this point maybe give them a little bit of the possession and see what you can do, to tie your feet. But um, either way, I think Houston gets the win here, and I'm gonna call it a 2-1 game with Ponce scoring one of those goals, and I'll let them surprise me with who is gonna score the winner here. But yeah, 2-1 is what I'm going for. It looks like in the chat, looks same thing. MDK 2-1 Houston. I think that just sounds like the most or the easiest choice when it comes to predicting this match, just with all the factors that you're looking at and the way that these matches have gone along. They haven't played against Vancouver this year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm right here double checking this information, so y'all don't call me liar later. But no, they haven't. They played last time was September of last year, and it was a 1-1 draw here in Houston. And if you guys remember, and looking back, I mean, remember those crazy games in Vancouver? I mean, 2023 was a 6-2 in favor of Vancouver. And then also last year, the 4-3 game in Vancouver with Houston getting that win. So usually, and from what we've seen in the last at least 3 years, the home team tends to be the one that has gotten the wins. And so hopefully that's the case. Hopefully a 2-1 win this Wednesday catapults the team into getting another streak going at home, being that they already beat St. Louis last week or a week and a half ago. And then, with the stretch of 3 games that you'll be having here pretty quickly before Leagues Cup, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, if you can build something, if you can get 3 straight home, wins, I mean, that does wonders, right? That pushes you up the table and just creates a boost, a little train of confidence for the club. So going into this weekend's game, and man, it's already been 40 minutes. Thank you guys for commenting. MDK, thank you for keeping on my toes, man. Old soccer guy. Yeah, if you guys are listening, feel free to comment as you please. Maybe I did it earlier than normal. I know I missed Jeff Strong, or guy Jeff Strong. Another guy that I miss and I haven't seen in a minute is Rushan. So Rushan, hope you're doing all right, man. Hope you are blessed and having a fantastic time wherever you are, man. And then that your ears aren't ringing me saying something. But yeah, this Saturday, week 24 as well. We won't get too into predicting this match. I hate to skip games or hate talking about games as one is being played before this. But yeah, again, Shell Energy Stadium. Get your tickets for Vancouver game. I know it's summer, man. Not a lot of things happening in the other realm of sports. I guess maybe the Astros be playing. I haven't even checked the calendar. You should try to do. But get some tickets for the Vancouver game. Get some for the Philadelphia. Check out our giveaways. Again, we already have one going for the Vancouver. So if you're looking for tickets, you want a shot at it, we'll give you a pair for that game. And then there'll be one for Philly as well. So you guys can go out and celebrate what is supposed to be a Houston night. Is that? Let me see. Yeah, H-Town night presented by SeatGeek. And as I mentioned, it'd be a lot happening, and even a concert by none other than Mike Jones. Who? Mike Jones, you already know. I guess sounds super corny here. NRC says, we just got to take advantage of this home games to move up, Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, it's 9 by the points. You have to take them. Now, Philly, yeah, last time the teams played, it was against each other in 2022 with Philly winning 6-0. And Jack McLean scored a banger of a goal that we're kind of getting used to here in Houston of seeing. So, yeah, there's obviously they don't play as often, being that the games are or the teams are in different conferences. So they usually get to play every other year. And so it's good too. It's been 3 years, crazy, since they played against Philly. And we all know, obviously, there's a little bit of rivalry at one point. as they're playing at least once a year. And, since the match in 2018 for the US Open Cup that, went Houston's way, of course, and the trophy it's in there in Challenger Stadium, y'all. Next time they take it out on trophy night, I'm sure they'll be there actually this weekend. So go ahead, take some pictures, man. Show off. And lastly, this week for I guess Houston Dynamo FC is they will be having a charity event, Stars and Stripes Showdown on Sunday, July 28th. I believe I it's at 6 p.m. I thought I remember the amount of how much tickets were, but anyways, there'll be a few I guess local celebrities and a couple of the Houston Dynamo alumni there in attendance to try to get some funds for charities here in Houston. So that's all I have for you guys on the Houston Dynamo. We do have some Houston Dynamo news here to hit. Wanted to take a time, see if anybody else had any questions, concerns. Yeah. Well, of course, I don't want to predict necessarily the Philadelphia game. As I mentioned, I don't want to go too much into detail because I do feel that the game beforehand obviously changes a lot of things. You never know if there's suspensions. You never know if there's injuries. You just never know till as you get closer to the game. But yeah, I as I think NRC mentioned earlier, you got to take advantage of the home games. You just have to, even if they're ugly. You don't have to play the prettiest games. You don't have to be the most tactically aware. Sometimes you just need to be a gotta, in the goalkeeper box and just put that ball in. That's all you need to do. That's what RSL did. Not the prettiest of games for them, but gets the job done. And I think that's really what you need. You need to claw yourself into a win against Vancouver, against Philadelphia this week, and then we'll talk about the upcoming match next week against the Galaxy. So very important games for the Houston Dynamo leading into the break when Leagues Cup takes place. They'll be playing same thing. They'll be playing all those games here at home for the Leagues Cup, and those we'll have tickets as well for those to give away. Oh, sorry. If you're interested in going into that, let's see. Fire at Will says front office needs to take advantage of the second transfer window coming up to add some missing pieces. Absolutely, man. As soon as to me is like as soon as the windows open, they need to go ahead and add somebody. They really do. They need to go ahead and add somebody. And obviously, it's not like you'd be like, oh, they just found them in the street and they picked them up. At this point, you've had 3-4 months since the window closed, and obviously, I'm sure they were making doing their homework beforehand. I did get to see. I was at Dynamo 2's game, which actually let's go ahead and talk about that, and then we'll kind of close it up. Dynamo 2 news: they did play it against North Texas here in Sabercat Stadium. They won 3-0. They had not won a game since April 27. The last game that Diego Gonzalez played for the team before being injured and out for the season. Does it really matter that is the thing? No, but it's kind of crazy that it's been that long since they've won. And to win it against your big rival, I think should create a boost of morale for the team. And I mentioned it in the very beginning of the show, but they will be a game for D2 here as well this week on Thursday. So game on Wednesday for the Dynamo, game on Wednesday for the Dynamo, game on Thursday for Dynamo 2, and then obviously Saturday. Sorry for the Dynamo as well against Philadelphia. And then let me check if there's. I thought there maybe was another one for. No, there's not. They won't play until next week. And then I believe there is also a scrimmage this weekend, if I'm not mistaken, for the Dash. But you have to be a season ticket holder to be a part of that and see that scrimmage. But yeah, Dynamo too. I mean, they've been playing very well, even though they've suffered and not won since this game. So it's been like what I did. Let's do the math here. 2.5 months is their last win. It's kind of rough. I mean, they have gotten some points from draws and penalty shootouts, but they have collected a good amount of regular um regular time losses, which obviously doesn't help them at all. But hey, they're still in a decent position, and we understand that it's a developmental league. So, being so high up the table and being first is not necessarily their main focus. It's more about seeing these kids, which they're doing a fantastic job. We get to talk to Marcelo Santos, and we're very grateful for his time and for communication team for the Dynamo that allows us to do that. So shout out to Jack, shout out to Edgar and Leo. They always help us, get in touch with the players, and for the players and coaching staff to make time for us here at Bayou City Soccer to get to ask them a few questions, get to know them a little bit, and learn what's happening on the day to day. But yeah, Marcelo Santos has been a very good addition for Dynamo 2. He's had the youngest group out of, since the inception of Dynamo 2. There at one point was full of, older 5th year, 6th year senior, thanks to COVID, 24, 25-year-old players now, and they came abroad, not necessarily abroad, but they were coming from college, straight from college. And at this point, there's quite a few academy players out there playing for the team, and that should, as a Houstonian, that should matter to you, because now you're seeing a lot of this young talent kind of make their way into the second tier, if you want to call it that, as they get closer to a first team ballot. So it's very important to see that happening, and I will, it's like I'll guarantee, but can't necessarily guarantee you, but I believe that there'll be players here shortly making that step, and a lot of them being 16, 17-year-old kids. We already obviously saw like a Brooklyn Reigns that, yeah, he was brought from abroad. He's not a purely Houstonian, but he did spend 3 years almost with Dynamo 2. You have Sebastian Rodriguez, who's also, rattling some cages. You have other players that have come in, like Felipe Andrade, like Mikel, that they have been brought in, and they're formed and gotten used to not necessarily the league, but living in the U.S. and making those changes and implementing themselves into the team. They've done a really good job with that. So I feel like Marcelo's doing a very good job. Not that Kenny Bundy wasn't doing that and the guys before him, but it looks like if developing, the homegrowns, it's vital and it's important. And I know sometimes you hear other outlets mention about how this is terrible. They're not doing a great job. I mean, it's not where it needs to be by any means, but I think they really are doing radical changes from root level. And it's important to give them time. Just because they've done those changes doesn't mean that it's going to be a night and day shift. And I'll be extremely happy as a Houstonian, as my kids being from Houston, and if my son and daughter would love to play for professionally, I would love for them to go through that system as well, in that sense, and kind of have that home pride instead of losing them elsewhere. Whether it be Dallas in the past, there's been a lot of kids from Houston that go to Dallas because Dallas does have a very good system, and we know this. It's not a secret. There are rivals, but at the end of the day, when other teams are doing something well, you have to kind of like, take a gut punch. You want to be better if you do, and I feel like they're doing that with Dynamo too, man. I think they're doing that with the academy, and it's good to see. At the end of the day, it's beneficial for everybody, and I can't wait for a guy that has come and done the entire academy system from beginning to end to play for the Dynamo, and not just purely just play, but I would love to be like, hey, we saw this kid that homegrown for 8 million abroad, 20 million abroad. I think that's really the success, or maybe what the story took successful ending would be, to be able to grow that talent here and be an export team as well. And of course, I mean, if there's some guys that are very talented that come to the first team, like we've seen, right, with like maybe the one that's always been on repeat is like a Memo Rodriguez. The amount of games that he played in comparison to like any other homegrown, it's important. And if we get another one like him that can stay and be the face of the franchise, if you want to call it that way, why not? There's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, you also want to show that Houston has top tier talent that they can go out and be sold abroad, be sold to teams elsewhere, and they can show that it should. The soccer community should benefit from that. But at this point, I'm sounding a little redundant. We are doing fantastic. Don't If people tell me that I love talking, I probably do like talking, but I hate hearing myself. And it's funny because I have this headphones and I can't hear myself. It actually mutes me some. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this episode, man. Thank you so much for commenting on here and keeping me alive and sane. And well, maybe not sane. That may be a stretch, but always welcome to read your comments here. Jay Hurtado, how are you, man? Naranja, let's go. Yeah, no. So I hope that this solo monologue went a long way. I'm glad I did the slides today, because otherwise I would definitely be lost. And the slides tend to keep everybody in check. And so here we are. Look, we have like 3 minutes to spare, and we hit every single topic. But I would love to invite you guys to follow us on all our social media. Hey, Jeff, what's up, man? Oh man, that would have been a good one. Yeah, Jeff said y'all should get Justin Finger on the talk about Philly game. You know what? We may do that. I don't know if you were here, Jeff, earlier, but we will have an Orange Talk. Hopefully, well, this week, but yeah, I was like with possibly Jack McGlynn as well. So keep an eye out for that. We'll talk some Philly there too. We do need to get Justin though. That's Edson's homeboy, and we would love. Actually, you know what, Jeff, you are absolutely a smart man. We should have, and I'll get Edson. I don't know if he's still listening here, but we need to reach out to the people from the Peel, and I would love to get them on here and just hear a little bit of what they're doing. I know obviously they ended their podcast a few years back because of life. But I would love to hear their thoughts, and see how's it going, and how do they enjoy. Maybe I don't know if they listen to our podcast, but like if they enjoy the podcast and podcasters and bloggers that have come after they kind of said um I wouldn't say the standard, but yeah, I guess the stand. Like they started, they're pioneers is the word I was looking for. Since they pioneer all this stuff for the city of Houston, I would love to get their insight of their feel for, how far they think this community, soccer community, has grown in their eyes. So Jeff, look at you, man. You stare something in my brain, and I have to write it down so I can tell Edson, because Edson. But with that being said, we'd love for you guys and invite you to make sure that you subscribe to, if you're on YouTube, man, subscribe to this podcast or this channel. So anytime that an event or a video pops up, you see it right away. You get a notification. I've been trying to set to a lot of the interviews that we do that are not live, and I post on there or get posted on there as premieres. So yeah, same thing, you get a notification. Keep an eye out for all the Orange Talks that we do, for all the videos. Again, Orange and Blueprints. Everybody's on vacation. Diego's out, I think, too, but we'll see if I join it with Manny, if he's available. We'll get that going for you guys. Movimiento Naranja, obviously on Thursdays, with David Dominguez as your main host, and I'm there to support him as well most of the episodes. I kind of was a late show last week as we were celebrating my mom's birthday and kind of show a little late. But yeah, anyways, we love doing this content for you guys. But again, the only thing that motivates us, it keeps it going, is your likes, your retweets. Tell your friends that may like soccer. Tell your friends that don't like soccer. Maybe getting into reading articles from Bayou City Soccer, as well as listening to us in the podcast realm. Maybe it sparks their interest. We try to do our best of giving you the best content when it comes to Houston soccer, and I hope that you guys feel that. I know, like Jeff. Jeff is a perfect example. He's a big supporter, obviously, of the club, but he believes in what we do too. And he was one of the very first ones that was like, you know what, I feel that these guys do a very good job. And when we transition from Dynamo Theory to Bayou City Soccer, man, you were one of the very first ones to step up and be like, I'm gonna help you financially, and we take that with nothing short of like, thank you, man, for that support. And again, we always tend to get donations, people reaching out. So we're never going to say no to that. It goes a long way and it keeps us running. So of course, man, they're more than welcome, and we appreciate the love that you guys give us. So I don't know if I'll see you guys at the stadium on Wednesday. Just because I'm trying to work. Wednesday weekdays are difficult. I've been trying to make most of them. I was at the Rayadas game. But Saturday, I may be there. My dad messaged me and he was like, man, like, we haven't gone to a game together. So I think he was trying to hit me on the feels. So I'll be there and I will see if I go and catch it with my dad. If he's doing good, we'll go make it happen. But yet again, don't forget, let me go ahead and put the little banner here. Not that you guys don't know this, but yeah, make sure that you go ahead and follow Bayou City Soccer in every platform, whether it be X, whether it be Instagram, whether it be Blue Sky, YouTube, Threads, Facebook, anywhere that you, or pretty much every site that you use as a social media platform, we're likely there. I think we're on TikTok too now. Not that we really post anything on there, but we're there and many of the social media platforms. So feel free. We try to give you again the most updated information as we get it. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. We did miss Christian Putalias. We hope he's doing fantastic in Hawaii and wherever he's at. I don't know where he's at. People are gonna be like, "Really, you went to Hawaii?" I have no clue, man. No clue. Yeah, Jeff. Always happy to support. Y'all do a great job. Thank you, man. Um, I know Joey's somewhere in Colorado. I know Diego is somewhere in Europe. I know Monty is probably asleep by now. I know Dustin's probably crazy with his kids, driving him nuts as a single father this week, as he called it. But yeah, no, it's fun time. Summer is always keeps us busy, and we enjoy it, man. So again, this is my third and final close here. But don't forget to hold it down and keep it forever orange. Oh, wait. What does this? Let me see. Give me a second. I got a comment right as I was gonna leave. Jay says, "What time does the sun go down out here there in Houston right now, bro? It's like 8:30. Yeah, it's like almost close to 9 p.m. by the time the sun goes down. So, I know you're. What time is it over there? Oof, don't even get me started. Oh, actually, before I close out, yes, Leagues Cup. Thank you because you reminded me next summer. Just wanted to say yes. For Leagues Cup, there will be Dynamo will be playing 3 matches. It'll be against Tigres on a Tuesday, Friday against Mazatlan. They'll be playing Tuesday against Pachuca, and that's one thing that I was doing earlier when I looked at my phone. I was trying to find the tickets that I had been sent. And yep, sure enough, I have tickets for all 3 games of that phase 1. So we got the tickets for Tigres. Now, I don't know if they'll all be giveaways, but we have tickets for Tigres. And we have tickets for Mazatlan, Pachuca, really good seats. We'll be giving them out. I myself won't be covering the league or Leagues Cup. I'm sorry. I somehow got decline, but we'll have guys from Bayou City Soccer out there. I believe Christian and Manny will be out there covering those games. So I'm not gonna whine too much just because I've been really busy with, as Jeff says, way too much soccer. I'm trying to go to everything that we can, but at the same time, we don't believe here in divorce in my household, so my wife may kill me if I continue to do that. No, but no, all the support from here, from the family. But yeah, it's too much, man, to have a full-time job and then keep up with games after hours. It's too much for me to do all of them at once. So I'll be taking a little break when League Cup begins. When it comes to going to the stadium, unless I go there as a fan for a game or two. But yeah, so those games will be happening, and this is for sure my fourth closeout. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Jay Hurtado. Please don't message again. No, I'm kidding. Feel free, man, to comment as much as you want. We'll see you next week, but we do have, again, Orange Blueprints probably this week and Movimiento Naranja as well. So we'll see you. Take care. For the main podcast, we'll see you Monday. Peace. Houston! Houston!